Hello, everybody. Teacher Sam here with Maverick Lingo. These videos are very, very special to me because today I have an amazing student with me, like literally live here in Las Vegas. Guys, I'm bringing you Vinícius Oliveira, a UFC fighter from Brazil, but I like to call him Vini. That's my nickname. His fighting nickname is LokDog, okay, or LokDog from Brazil. Today is really, really special for me. I flew out from Los Angeles directly to Las Vegas to meet with my amazing student, Vinny. And I'm not saying amazing just to say amazing, but guys, when I tell you that this is one of the most diligent, disciplined, persistent, consistent, no excuses type of student, here he is. I am not kidding. And so it seems really important to have this sit down with Vinny, talk a little bit about his English learning journey, because I really, really hope that those of you who are watching this, those of you English learners who are listening to this, I hope that you will feel motivated and inspired by Vinny's story, and hopefully you can apply that to your English learning journey. So, welcome, Vinny. We are so happy that we made this happen. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to receive you here in my house in Las Vegas.
Yes.
It's like a dream come true for me.
Thank
For the
you.
first time that I meet you on Instagram, I have a dream to meet you face to face and personal, to make some
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank
Do
you.
a little bit about my history, look in your eyes, and
Thank
when
you.
you look in my eyes to feel my feeling, to be it's everything real, is not lie.
Thank
My
you.
history is true.
Thank you so much, Vinny. I really appreciate it. So let's get into our first question here. I know a little bit about this answer because of our classes. Do you mind taking us back to your younger years? Tell us a little bit about where you're from, where did you grow up, and how was your childhood?
First of all, I'm from Brazil. I'm living in a small city. I face a poverty a lot of time in my life. My mother and my father working hard to make it, to give us, me and my brothers and sister, my siblings, a good life. But I was a bad kid when I was a kid. I made some bad things in my whole life when I was a kid. But I always have a dream to get much money in my life, and I didn't know why I will earn this money. And I realized one day I needed to live this life that I was living. And almost I was 10 years old. I lived from my house for the first time. I started to use drugs. I considered myself a gangster in the past. I made bad things in my whole life since when I was young.
So definitely when you were a kid, there was really no discipline for you, right? You were basically the opposite of today. No discipline, no consistency, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are in Las Vegas. Now you are this UFC fighter. Your last two fights, drew a lot of attention, probably two of the greatest knockouts I've ever seen in my life. So I want to know, how did you get introduced to MMA?
It was a little complicated. My first dream was become a soccer player.
Ah,
Yeah. And I always wanted to get much money in my life. So a soccer player, I realized that get much money, but I wasn't a excellent soccer player. So, and I was beaten up a lot when I was a kid. I fight every day on the street, at school, even in my house with my brothers and my father-in-law. So I needed to use I don't know how to say, meu instinto.
your instincts, your
My
instincts.
instinct. I wanted to be, it's a bad word to say, but I want to be a killer, but not to in my mind, just in my mind, because I watched a lot of movies about that, and I realized the guys inside the movies earn much money, make bad things, and as I come the poverty, I wanna get much money to help my family, to give a support to my friends. I didn't have many friends because I was totally opposite of my friends. All my friends have a dream, and I didn't have a dream. I didn't have a focus in get money, but how I will get money. So I started to use drugs. I went to the crime. So one day I was watching a movie, Rocky Balboa. This movie I'm watching till right now, and this movie making me change my mind.
Seriously.
Serious.
Seriously.
Yeah, and I start to training in my room, but I didn't have a room. It's a small house, 2 pieces, like me and my siblings and me, we staying in the same room, the same piece every day. So I started watching these movies didn't have DVD, as a fita cassette.
Oh, like a video cassette?
Yeah, a
oh
video
my
cassette.
God. Wow. Wow.
And I used to watching these movies every single day, like 10 times a day. And it was changing my mind. And one day I was walking on the street after I coming from a soccer, a game player. I was playing soccer, and this frustrated me because we had a travel through another city to make to play game, and I didn't have money, I didn't have clothes, I didn't have shoes,
my
anything,
Oh my God.
and I get a sponsor, a fake sponsor. He took all my ID, my documents, and he told the day that I was going to travel to another city to play soccer, he will send the money, my clothes, and everything. And all my partner of training get into in the bus, and I can't get into the bus because I didn't have money, anything. And then my sponsor told me he was get there in that day to give me the money to travel. And the guys who was responsible for me and for the guys told him, hey, Vinícius, in that time, no one called me by LokDog. Hey, Vinícius, we need to close the door and go travel. And about you. And I didn't have anything to talk here. I just talk here. My sponsor told he is coming here. Please wait more 1 minute. He's coming. And I think he waits some minutes, more than 1 minute. And again, Vinícius, we need to close the door, we need to go travel. Yeah, okay. I told you, okay, I didn't have nothing to say. So this day, I back home, I really sad, walking slowly, like thinking my whole life, like, what am I gonna do right now? And this day, I was walking to my house, and I see a guys look at me, and I was stressed, I was boring, and my instinct was fight every day. I don't know why. So that guy was look at me, and I look at him, and I thought in my mind, I beat these guys, but I don't know why. I went to these guys, and I started to beat him. It was too crazy, and there is nobody in the streets to separate this fight.
Oh, I see.
I almost killed these guys. It was in that moment. It was amazing to me because I'm felt happy, like I can defeat someone. To make it, I put everything bad that I had inside outside.
So a lot of rage was coming out, right? A lot of anger, rage.
Anger.
Rage it's a good word actually. It's like very strong anger feelings, rage. So a lot of rage was coming out, yes? That day?
So on the same day, I was walking to my house after this fight. I was near my house, and I listened some sound like ha ha yeah. And I started to realize I go there and watch what happened there. And when I see the flag, I think it's flag the name. And I see the flag. it was gym. It was a gym, and I upstairs. I upstairs, and I see every person make some fight, punch some bag, and the coach come to me, and make some question like, "What do you want to hear?" And I told him, "I want to fight. I was coming here, and I fought on the street, and I want to fight to defend myself and to beat people. I don't know why, but I want to do that." And he stopped his training. He make a conversation to me like 1 hour, and I got in my mind, what these guys are talking to me. I don't want to talk with these guys. But I don't know why, but I stay here, just listen. I close my eyes, and I stay listening to these guys. But in my mind, I was boring, like, I don't want to listen to these guys. So when he finished this conversation, I don't touch his hand. I just turn him, I give my back to him, and go home. And the same day, there are constructions, I built close to my house, and I asked for the guys that was working there. The guy told, "We don't need, everything is clean." I know, "Please give me the work, I need money, I need to buy some things for me, please, please." And the guy told, "Okay, do anything there." I cleaned the house, I cleaned the yard. And in the end, the guys, I called the guys, and he gave me 15 real. Brazil is real in America.
Reais, how many dollars is that? How many dollars?
In reais,
50 reais. How many dollars?
$10.
Okay.
$10.
Okay.
$10. And he gave me $10, but 15 reais. And this price, this money, was able to me pay the gym. And the same day, I go home. I go home. I sleep, and I was thought in my mind, I want to be a fighter. I want to be a fighter. And before I'm sleepy, I was talking with my friends about MMA. And the guys told me, "Man, do you know Jose Aldo Anderson Silva?" I don't know who is guys. Man, he get much money with MMA. They are rich. And I sleep. And I think during I was sleeping in my mind like a dream, I thought, I want to be like this guy. So I woke up in the morning early, I wash my face, I put my best clothes. I didn't have clothes, but I put my best clothes. And I went to the gym, I take my money out, and I thought, "Hey coach, I'm here. I have money to pay the gym."
Wow.
And he gave me the opportunity to train in this gym. And when I was in this gym, I trained there, I think, two years. I stayed there for 2 years.
How old were you when you got to that gym and started training?
16.
16. Okay.
16. And I stayed there for 2 years. During these 2 years, I think 14 fights.
Wow.
Or 50, a lot of fights, because we fight like twice a month or 3 times a month.
Amateur fights?
Amateur.
And were you able to make any money from those fights?
No. I had to pay to fight in that age. Back then, that age.
Yes. Back then. Very good.
I needed to pay back then to fight. So my life started to change, because when I was a bad guy, no one people like to talk to me, like to walk by my side. When I was walking on the street and was coming a person in front of me, they moved to another side to don't face me. So I got sad about that, because I'm a human like everybody. So when I started martial arts, fighting Muay Thai box, I didn't start MMA back then. So when I started to fight, to win some fights, the only things that changed in my life that I realized is this I want to do for my whole life. The people start to say hi to me. It was a victory, a reward to me, because I win my first fight, and I back to my hood, and the people, "Hi, LokDog." In my hood, I was LokDog. "Hi, LokDog. How was your fight?" Yeah. "Hi, LokDog. You for the first time say hi to me."
Wow.
Oh, it is crazy, my gosh. But why this person say hi to me? And I started to realize I was changing my life. I was a fighter. Maybe I'm living to be a bad guys. Now the people are consider me a good guy. So it's changed my life. Then, after some years, I moved to MMA, but everything about money and for respect.
So how many siblings do you have? You mentioned siblings. How many siblings?
Whew, a lot, a lot. My father and my mother were separate.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
With my mother, I have 4 siblings,
Okay.
and to my father, in another relationship, I have more of 4.
Oh my God, amazing. So like 8 kids.
8 kids.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So listen, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to your responses, and there's like a lot to take in, you know? So I imagine a kid with a bunch of siblings, you're growing up in poverty, you don't have money, you're very young. I love how honest you are about the very complicated feelings that you were experiencing at the time. And it sounds like, please correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like some of the feelings were so complicated that you tried to understand them, but you couldn't. And there was a lot of rage there as well at times. So I'm sitting here and I'm like so impressed with the fact that you were able to come to that realization at a very young age. 16 is very young. You know, you have people who are like 35.
To me, 16 is not very young because I became a man when I was 16 years old. I was born like a man because it was just my parents in my house and 4 siblings. And when I was young, before 10 years, I need to care about my siblings. I need to work. I worked when I was 10 years old, my first work. I needed to make some food to my siblings. So when I was 7 or before 10 years old, I became a man.
So you had a lot of responsibilities as a kid.
Since when
You
I was
have
a
a
kid.
lot of you had a lot of responsibilities as a kid. And I still think it's amazing that you were able to look at yourself at the age of 16 and come to this very philosophical conclusion like, man, people want to talk to me all of a sudden. Until yesterday, they did not even want to cross the street if I was walking there. Now they talk to me. They want to know about my fights, right? So I feel like that's the part that feels really profound for me, that feels really special for me because it's a huge transition. Huge transition. And I think for many people, that transition can take years and years and years. And honestly, some people never even go through that transition, even though they try really hard. So that's super impressive that you saw that, you experienced that, and then you're like, I want to be that guy. Now I want to start changing my life. All right, so now you're like, MMA is kind of changing my life, fighting is changing my life. When did you realize that you wanted to become specifically a UFC fighter? UFC being such a huge organization, the biggest organization. When did you realize you wanted to become a UFC fighter?
As I said before, everything have started about money. So when I got into in MMA to training, I had in my mind some years ago that professional MMA fighters in UFC earn much money. It's the best organization of the world. So when I fought my first fight in MMA, I lost. In the amateur. It's not professional, I'm amateur. And everything fell apart. And I thought, oh my gosh, everything again. I was lost one more time in my life. I had promised to myself, I will never lose again. And I lose again. And I cried, I asked to God, like, God, but why me? I changed my life as a different person, but why me? And I didn't have any answer to God. And it was complicated, it's a destiny, the purpose, but I don't know why. So I fought amateur again, and I won. And the feeling is amazing. I don't know how to explain because I worked so hard for this moment for a win, and I lose. Then I worked so hard to win, and I win. And the same people, when I lose the fight, the people stop to say hi to me on the street. I don't know because they want to just a winner, not a loser. So when I won my second fight in amateur, they start to say hi to me again, and I start to realize, but why these people are saying hi to me right now, and when I lose not? So I start to separate these people. I don't want you in my life, but I want you in my life because you make me happy, you make me stronger. You are in my side for the whole life. So then I moved the gym. And I did my first professional MMA fighter. But I was totally prepared. My mind was unbeatable. I always thought my mind was unbeatable, even when I was in a bad life. My mind was the part much stronger in me.
Yes,
Was
the
my
most important part
yeah, it
was your mind.
yes,
Yes?
yes, my mind.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, that I fought my first MMA fight and I win. My second, I win. My third, I win. And I did like a 10 win streak.
Streaks.
Streak.
Yes.
Yeah, 10. And I was in another level too fast. I was a young guy. I think I was 18 or 19. And I was in that top level, almost to get into UFC. Since 2007, the media, all personals that is between UFC was talking, this LokDog will get into UFC soon. Then I lose again. Everything fell apart. I was in the top level, but it's totally hard when you was in the top level and fought again. The fall is harder. It's harder. I was taught that I was unbeatable, that I was a king, that I was a superstar. Then the life make me realize that I'm not unbeatable, that I need to train harder to be the champion, to be someone in life. Then I keep training again, I win, I won, the next and the next, one. When I do something to do my best. In UFC, I wanna do my best. I'm doing my best. And to be considered a champion, you need to defeat the champion.
Right.
I consider myself a champion, but it's not enough to word right now. Doesn't matter. Is it too important? You consider yourself the champion, but to prove the world that you are the champion, you need to defeat the champion. In UFC, you need to get the belt. So it started to become my dream, and I make some focus, some goals in my life inside UFC, like between 2 years, I will be UFC champion, maybe less, but not more. I don't want to hide that because when I thought about my past, I can inspire and be a motivation for other person because if they realize that I'm come from poverty in a bad life and where I am right now, they will realize that they also can do and reach his dream.
And honestly, you know what I think about that? I think you have kind of two kinds of people. You have people who try really hard to motivate others. It's like, oh, I'm going to motivate you, But then you have people like yourself and so many others who simply have had very particular life experiences, very challenging life experiences, exactly what you just said, that still come back to you at times and terrify you, right? But somehow you were able to overcome all of that and end up where you are, even though we have so much technology today and there's YouTube and there's this and there are books and all kinds of things. I still think that people are starving for those kinds of stories. There's something very human about that. There's something that connects us. You never know. Someone might be listening to this and like, wait a minute. So this guy went through hell and back and he managed to get to this point of his life. Maybe that's possible for me. You see? So personally, that's why I love those stories. I think we can never have enough of those stories. And also, I don't know if you agree or disagree, but we live in a social media era. So everything is on social media, right? You can see this and you can see that.
Most of things is fake.
Excellent. So I think a lot of people might see something on social media. They might even look at your social media and be like, wow, look at him. And, he got that UFC knockout. Everyone was talking about it. Just an example, right? But people don't know in that moment what you had to go through to get to that point, right? So I think sharing these kinds of stories is really refreshing, to be honest with you. It really is. It's humble, it's refreshing, and you never know who might hear this and actually feel inspired by it. So now, okay, fine, UFC, you want to make more money, you need to support your family, makes sense. But then, when did you realize that learning English was going to be a big part of you becoming a UFC fighter? When did you realize that?
I think I realized when I win one of my fights and I need to do some interview and the guy's asking me some question in English and I got lost. What am I going to answer right now? Because I used to use the app in my mobile and I thought I was fluent because in the app I was taking 100% all my notes inside this app. So when I won one of my fights, I need to do some interview and the guys start to make some question. But before they told me, are you able to do some interview in English? And I was thought, well, of course, in my mind, of course, I'm taking 100% in the app. It will be easy to me. But when the guy started to speak, I got lost. Like, oh my gosh, what am I talking? There is no subtitle. There is no subtitle. And oh gosh, fucking now. And oh no, hey, please stop. I need a translator, please. But you told me you were fluent. No, I was thought I was fluent, but I'm not fluent.
Honestly, I think you're bringing up totally unplanned, but you're bringing up a really good point about apps, because students often ask me like, "Hey, what do you think about apps?" And I think that there are some good apps out there. My only problem with apps is that you feel confident when you have that phone in front of you, and then like you said, the subtitles, the text is there, the options are there, so you're like, all right, is this? Oh, it's this. Yeah, of course.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't want to be negative about apps, but I don't recommend apps to be your only source of learning English, because exactly what you just said. I think that happens to so many people. You go out there and you're like, let's go. And then boom, oh my God, there is no picture. There are no subtitles. So you feel lost, So that's a really good point. So yeah, I mean, using apps is better than not doing anything, obviously, but I don't recommend that as your only source of learning.
When I did my next fight, and after this fight, I back home and I started to learn English like alone. I watched movies, podcasts, listened to music, but it was really complicated to me because I didn't have a right way to follow. I just listened, I just watched, but I didn't understand anything. But I was putting every information in my mind. But what am I gonna do with this information? No. So in this,
Good point.
in the second fight, I was supposed to do some interview, and I thought before I would do this interview, but I needed a translator. I called my translator again. It was good. My third fight, and I start to learning more English with some person, give me all support, and the guys told I won the fight. And the guys told, hey, LokDog, I'll bring a translator to you again. And I thought, no, I don't need translator. I was really comfortable and excited, and in my mind, I was not fluency, but I was able to answer some questions because the questions are almost the same.
Gotcha.
I went there prepared to this question. If they move this question, I will need a translator.
Gotcha.
But it was
Gotcha.
always the same.
Gotcha.
So I got into I don't know if I say sala.
Into a room.
Yeah, I got
Like a hall maybe.
I don't know how they say.
Was it a big room?
I space they do interview like here.
Okay, so a room. Yes, a
Yeah.
room.
I go into a room and the guy start to do some question to me and I answer in my mind really, really good. But it wasn't really good. I made a lot of mistakes, but they guys was able to understand me and I felt comfortable to speak. And when I leave this room, the different was the boss this event, the treatment start to be different. The boss coming to me, touch my hand, make some good word to me, give me a hug, and start to call me son. Hey son, and I was son. He never told it to me. He never get close than me. But okay, son. And the treatment was different. And all the people start to talk with me, treatment different, like, hey, LokDog, do you want a water? Do you want something to food, to eat? And nobody never told me if I want a water, a food, nothing, but why now? And I started to realize, do it to my English, do it to my English. And of course. Then I back to home again, and I start to realize English will change my life because there's most of Brazilians inside the UFC don't speak in English, and they can't do English interview. I'll be able to do press conference. Then much day after this, I knew a teacher, and she told me, Vinícius LokDog, this is American, Vinícius LokDog, you need to learn English because American people like to hear his history. It would be amazing when you can speak with them and show your feeling to them. And maybe it's true. I don't need to learn English or speak, but maybe it's true. And after I meet this teacher, I don't want to say the name. Teacher Sam. Teacher Sam. This got in my mind like I need to speak, I need to talk about my history for this person because the American love this history. And one day in the interview, I was talking about, I was supposed to talk about my English, my history. And I was forgot everything. Then I remember what teacher told me. Vinícius, you need to talk about your history for everybody because everybody will love your history. Then during this interview, I started speaking English. I forgot the fear, I forgot the mistake, and I just speak. And I started to speak in my history like when I was a kid, when I started MMA, when I meet the MMA, how my life has changed about I got into MMA, but everything that just because my teacher make me feel comfortable to put out all my feeling that I have inside and just speak it. Don't fear about mistake, don't fear about anything, just speaking. Then I started to realize that English makes totally different in my life because not just to me, but because all people will understand about my life. In my history, I can do some conversation with someone, I can travel to another place and talking. I can understand that people can understand me as well. So it's due to these moments, I can realize the English make it different in my life.
And you know, I really thought it's interesting how you mentioned that human connection, how you realized, wait a minute, why are they offering me food? Why is he calling me son? Why are they asking me if I'm thirsty? Because maybe for the first time, you guys were able to make a connection through words, through languages, you see. Because you know what? You can be over there in that corner speaking your language. I can be over here in my corner speaking my language. And both languages are important. Both languages are beautiful. But guess what? We don't understand each other. So then English becomes like that common bridge. Honestly, it sounds a little corny, but it's true. English becomes that bridge that kind of connects people. And then all of a sudden you feel, it's strange, you know, but you feel closer to people. Like, oh, okay, cool. We can talk, we can communicate, right? And you're certainly not the first professional fighter who has experienced that. And I'm always like, I can't get enough of those stories. I think it's awesome, you know, I think it's really, really awesome. Because let's be honest, you know, I don't know what you think, but it's so easy to say, I want to learn English, or I need to learn English. It's the easiest thing you can say. But then,
Everybody wanna do something in life, but the most of things wasn't willing to do that.
exactly. So it's the easiest thing in the world. Oh, I want to learn English. I need to learn English. Okay, fine. But why? Why? So maybe for anyone who's watching this right now, I would recommend ask yourselves why. Maybe you too would like to make this human connection with people. Maybe when you travel, suddenly you're going to notice, oh, cool. I don't feel like such a stranger anymore, or just something as important as sharing your story. And yes, I was pushing that a lot. A part of it because I was really impressed with your story personally, but also people in the US love the underdog stories. They just do. Honestly, I think people around the world love underdog stories, but especially in the US, I feel like people really appreciate these kinds of stories. And if you think about it, you kind of fell in love with Rocky Balboa, the movie. But why? I love that movie. I could watch that movie a million times and I'll never get sick of it. Why? Because he has that underdog story. You see what I'm saying? And for some reason, those stories just connect us as humans. You know, no matter where you're from, you just feel connected, you know? So I'm really glad that you started to share more and that it kind of, you know, just made sense ultimately to do that. How did you find Maverick Lingo?
I was using my Instagram and I put in the search like English, teacher English. I found my Lingo and she was talking about some things in English as vocabulary and some words, but not about his life. And I got into his profile,
Profile,
in
her profile.
in her profile, and I start to see everything. I totally saw everything since beginning to the end, and I start to listen her posts and her history, and I was thought, man, to myself,
Right.
man, I needed to learn English, and I need a good teacher. And I was some recommend for the people that are asking some question when you do in your Instagram.
Right.
And I realized to myself, I wanna be the best. I wanna get with the best people. So I wanna get a best teacher. So I didn't have shame, but I asked to him, "Hi, how works your job?" And he answered me like in a few minutes after that. So, oh, it was so quickly. And we started this conversation, and he sent me a lot of help, a good support, and my English started improving.
And you know, believe it or not, I remember that conversation. I really do. I remember that live video we were doing, and I remember how very active you were during that live. You were asking all these questions, and I was like, even though, you know, when I do lives, I try my best not to be distracted by questions, but I was thinking, who is this person asking really good questions, like very participating a lot, you know? And then I remember shortly after that, I received a message from you, and then we started working together, which has been
And I got
amazing.
into your live on Instagram, and I start to do some question for you, and you start to answer me, and I got surprised because a best teacher are answer me, but why? So I want to have a class with this teacher.
Thank you so much. And honestly, I love questions. When I'm doing lives, I pay attention. I try not to be distracted by the questions, but I pay attention and I love to answer questions, especially if it's like language learning related or English learning related. I absolutely love it.
And I thought I was being an annoying guy because I was doing many questions, and a lot of people doesn't make much question like me, and but I needed to know about my question.
But look, now you're bringing up a very good point because maybe in your mind you thought, oh, I'm being annoying. But in my mind, I was like, oh, this person is very active. This person is participating a lot. So, my personality, my teaching style, I love to see that in students. So you see, that's a good point because if you had listened to your mind, to your thoughts, then maybe you would have never asked a question. And I think this is a very important point. Why? Because out of hundreds and hundreds of students that I've worked with, I cannot tell you how many of them sit there and judge their English all the time, not because someone else is judging it, but because their mind is judging it. Their mind is saying, no, it's not good. Be quiet. Don't say anything. So I'm glad you brought that up because my message to all students out there is don't listen to your mind. I know it's easy to say and difficult to do. I know that for all of us. But really, try your best not to be discouraged by the stuff that comes from our
Blah,
mind.
blah, blah.
Exactly. The blah, blah, blah. Exactly. Very, very good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember when we started working together, I thought your English was pretty basic. Would
Yeah.
you say it was basic?
It was basically is not real. It's a poor, really
I would
poor.
say basic. I would say kind of basic, right? Okay. Now, how has working with Maverick Lingo improved your ability to express yourself in English?
A lot, because now I thought in my mind that grammar, vocabulary is not important. But from I start to study with Maverick Lingo, he focused in this point, and I thought this teacher is too annoying because I don't want to know about the grammar and vocabulary. Because in my whole life, since when I started learning English alone of another person, they told you, forget grammar, forget vocabulary, just speak. And in my mind, speaking is important. But when I start to learn with Maverick Lingo, my teacher Sam, my famous teacher Sam,
Thank you. Thank
he
you.
focused on grammar, vocabulary. And as I said before, this teacher was annoying, but why I need to learn about that? But it started to go into my mind. Then I would do some conversation with some guys, and I was speaking, and I told you one wrong word, and I myself, I back again and I correct my wrong, and the guys told it, wow, it's amazing. How do you learn this word? Man, I have a good teacher for sure. Then it's improved my English really, really, really great. I can say I got into another level in English after I started the class with teacher Sam, because I didn't know grammar, vocabulary, and I didn't know how express my feeling for the people. And teacher Sam focused on the basic. Doesn't matter because doesn't matter you get on the top on an advantage English without learning the basic.
And listening to you say all of that, I feel so incredibly grateful to you for deciding to not listen to those thoughts. Oh no, this teacher is annoying and I don't need to read that and I don't need to learn about that. I'm so grateful that you came back and decided, okay, let's follow the strategy. Let's follow the plan, the methodology, the philosophy, and see what happens. Also, I'm so happy because this was absolutely not planned. I'm so happy that you brought up this idea of so many teachers out there telling students, forget about grammar. Forget about your pronunciation. It's just going to come in the future. Just start talking. Now look, there is something cool about that because, yes, we should start talking. We should feel encouraged to talk. But I do believe very strongly that you must study at least some basic grammar so that whatever it is that you're saying eventually makes more sense to you. You see what I'm saying? So there has to be a strategy. There has to be a plan, a process, right? And I'm sure you've noticed that in our classes that we never just sit there and kind of just talk. There's always, everything's planned, everything's organized, we're following the process. And I'm really happy that it has made a little bit of a difference, in your ability to express yourself. Although we're still on the journey, we're still studying, we're still learning. There's a lot more to learn, but I'm really, really grateful for that. Honestly, for putting the trust in me like that.
Yeah, and now after I start my class with teacher Sam, I feel more comfortable to speak, and I don't fear to make some mistake because I start to talk. I thinking about before I do some conversation, like some words that I had, some mistakes in pronunciation, like vocabulary. The teacher Sam make me study this word for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And, oh my God!
Remember, it was vocabulary, which is a really common mistake. Vocabulary, and it's like, hey, look at the U and imagine the word you. Vocabulary, right? Vocabulary, right? Yes.
No, I feel comfortable to make some conversation. Of course, I made some mistakes. I'm not fluent. I need to learn more and more and more.
And have you noticed a conversation with your American fans or English-speaking fans? Is it easier for you to communicate with them now a little bit?
Not too easy, but I can understand like not the full sentence, but some words.
Gotcha.
And I mix together like the first words, and I put with the middle words and the end words, and I mix everything and give it the right sense. But not most of time, but a little bit time I make some mistakes again.
So Vinny, before we finish the interview, I noticed something very interesting during our classes, right? I noticed that whenever I offer a correction, you are very quick to say, let me try again. Let me try again. Let me try again. So sometimes during an hour of classes, I hear you say that 15 or 20 times. Let me try again. Let me try again. Let me try again. And obviously, I noticed that, right? And that just stands out to me because that's the whole point. The point is, I don't expect you to say everything perfectly. The point is to make a mistake, correct that mistake, and then let me try again, right? That's how we learn. But where does that come from? Where does that motivation come from for you? Where you're like, let me try again, let me try again. But where does that come from, do you think?
As I say, I want to be the best. I wanna be the best in everything I'm doing or I will do in my life. So to be fluent, I need to be really fluent. I need to learn about the pronunciation, the grammar, everything. So when I made some mistake, I don't want to do this mistake again because this mistake can put me down again, and then I want back down. So I try always do my best to be the best, to be the number one. I want to be the number one in English as well, to be fluent, more fluent than an American. I know it. Maybe it's
amazing.
It's impossible,
I
but I will
that.
try to do that. And always that I made a mistake or I make some mistake, I wanna improve this mistake to make it right. So for this reason, I always wanna try again, and try again.
Excellent. And kind of to finish off the interview, anyone who's listening right now who might be thinking about starting their English learning journey and maybe feels like, oh, I want to learn, but I don't know, it's not for me. Maybe I'm too old, maybe blah, 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 whatever the reason is. What is your message to them? What would you say to them?
I thought this way, the English is not important to me in my life, but I think I'm totally sure English is really important. You can travel to another country, another world and speak in English because English is a lot of words, a lot of countries speak in English.
Right,
It's
right.
a universal language, English. So if you go to I don't know, United States, Canada, another country, everybody will speak in English and Portuguese, not just in Brazil and Portugal. And you can watch movies in English, listen, watching movies in English, listen music in English, podcast, to improve your mind, to open your mind to another situation, because you can live out of comfortable zone. Imagine if you are a job in Brazil, if I and you work in the same job, but I'm speaking English, I think I earn more money than you just because
For
I speak
sure.
in English.
For sure.
But not just Brazil, but I talk in Brazil because it's just Portuguese over there.
For sure.
So open other door to you.
No doubt about it. In fact, I've had students who have told me, that, listen, I had to use my English and my boss was there, and then a week later, I'm offered a higher position. Coincidence? I don't think so. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much for this amazing, amazing conversation. Teacher Sam here with Maverick Lingo, bringing you the best in the game. Vinícius, Vini, Oliveira, LokDog.
LokDog.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Peace.